And we are joined now for our weekly visit by Fox Sports lead game analyst Joel Klatt. Joel, before we look ahead to what is a great slate in the Big Ten this week, I do want to look back on one game last week. We talked a ton going into the Indiana-Illinois game about how we thought it might go. I don't know that any of us thought it would be 63-10 in favor of Indiana. Just an absolute blowout. So they annihilate a top 10 team. Is it possible that Indiana is the best team in the Big Ten?
I think it's possible. Illinois is not Ohio State, and they're not Oregon, and they're not Penn State. So I think that those teams probably deserve the benefit of the doubt over Indiana at this point. But I'm starting to come around to it. I mean, what are they, 15-2 since the beginning of last year?
Yep.
This is a program that has been outstanding since the beginning of last year, and that performance on Saturday night was second to none. I think that they might actually be better. I was wrong. I did not think Indiana was going to be as good as they were a year ago. I thought it was going to be difficult to recreate kind of the magic they had with some of those transfers, and I was wrong. Rev, they're better on the offensive line. They're better at quarterback. Fernando Mendoza is terrific, and I love what they've got at wide receiver. And I think their defense is also very solid. So this is clearly a team that can and will challenge for the Big Ten crown. There's no doubt about it. I would just say, I do think that the 63-10 score is a bit misleading. And the only reason is because in the bulk of that second half, Illinois didn't have any starters in that secondary on the field. Some of them were third stringers. They had concussion issue, ankle issue, 2 ankles on both corner. They had the targeting foul in the first half. So it wasn't a true sense of what was going on in that game or with those rosters late in that game when it started to get away from them. That being said, though, Mendoza right now would be in my top 3 in the Heisman Trophy race.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you say they might be better at quarterback, and their quarterback last year finished in the top 10 in the Heisman race, but Mendoza's been just that good. We'll talk about Illinois and how they might bounce back here in a bit, because I know you have that game coming up this week, but it's a great week in the Big Ten. I want to get to all of the intriguing matchups, and let's start with Penn State and Oregon. I want to put it this way for each one of those teams, and we can start with Oregon. I'm interested in what the game needs to look like, in your opinion, for each team to win. So what do the Ducks need to do for them to be the team that comes out on top?
They have to control the line of scrimmage with their defensive line, and that's something that they weren't able to do against Northwestern. And I think that's why Dan Lanning was so upset after that win. Plus, I think that crowd is going to be obviously at a fever pitch. And the more that you can take away or slow down their offense, then you start to get the murmurs and you tamping down that excitement level of the environment surrounding you. That's number one. And then Dante Moore is going to have to play terrific. He's a guy that I really like. I also think he's in the top 3 or 4 in the Heisman race at this point. He's that talented. They're going to have to create some explosive plays on the outside, which is tough to do against Penn State. And then they have to be able to run the football. The quickest way to take a crowd out of the game is control the line of scrimmage, both sides, but clearly on the offensive side, running the football.
For all of the hand-wringing, I guess might be the best way to put it, about Penn State's offense, defense has been phenomenal so far, so that's a huge challenge for Oregon. What about on Penn State's side? We already talked about the crowd and what a factor that could be. An amped-up crowd is going to be part of the equation. What's the rest of it for Penn State to win it?
Well, I mean, stop me if we've heard this before, but they've got to throw the ball better. I mean, it's a fact. And I thought at some point early in this season, we were going to see glimpses of a passing game that was taking a step forward. And we really haven't, Rev. And so my question is well, what's different about this version of Penn State than all the versions before that have lost 14 straight top 10 games in the regular season, dating back to 2016? Because you don't win matchup games unless you have depth on offense. And when I mean depth of threat. You can run it, you can throw it. So unless they can throw the football, listen, they're not going to go out there and beat Oregon without any production from the passing game and Drew Aller. They will not. Oregon is too dynamic offensively. And so they've got to figure that out. Drew Aller is going to have to play better, and they're going to have to do something that largely this program has been unable to do since 2016. Like I just said, 0-14 since that year in the regular season against top 10 opponents. We have not seen them rise to the level and level up. And that onus is going to be on their quarterback.
Some concerning stuff early on for that offense. To your point, they're less than 60% touchdown percentage in the red zone. They're among the bottom 4 in the Big Ten in third down conversion percentage. So some stuff to be concerned about early on. Obviously haven't played a great schedule. We'll see whether they were maybe holding some stuff back here for the Ducks. I want to talk about a couple other games. Ohio State, #1 team in the nation, and I know they're #1 in your rankings as well. They go to Washington, and we were talking about the Huskies last week and how, hey, maybe more people should be talking about them. It's pretty amazing what they're doing on offense, Joel. I mean, they have scored, other than one kneel down, they have scored on 17 straight offensive possessions, which is the longest streak in college football in the last decade. And now you got #1 coming in at a place where you've won 22 games in a row for the Huskies. How viable is an upset, and what would it look like for Washington?
Well, Washington is the most underrated team in America. The AP poll continues to show itself for the trash that it is by not giving Washington 1 vote. That's egregiously bad. Tell me you don't cover the whole sport without telling me you don't cover the whole sport. I mean, Washington is a terrific team. Back in the offseason, they were my dark horse to go to the CFP out of this conference on my show. I like Damon Williams a lot. He is electric. He is a threat with his legs. That is a scary proposition for any defense, but certainly a defense that's got to come and play in that environment. But it's not just the quarterback and his ability to run around. Jonah Coleman is excellent at running back. Boston is excellent on the outside. So, again, they have depth of threat on the offensive side. Now, if you're going to build a defense that can combat that, you would build a defense that has great speed and athleticism at the second and third level, which Ohio State has, with Sonny Styles at linebacker, Arvell Reese at linebacker, and Caleb Downs at safety. So I would imagine that those guys are going to be spying Williams at times and trying to slow him down as he tries to get outside of the pocket and create. The game plan for Ohio State, I think, is pretty clear, and I think it's going to be pretty conservative. They need to go in there and control the game at the line of scrimmage, run the football well, and not put Julian Sayin in situations that are uncomfortable. Because remember, this is going to be his first road start. And that's not a road environment that is going to be welcoming, to say the least. As you mentioned, second longest home winning streak in college football there for Washington. They haven't lost since 2021. So I think it could be a conservative game plan for Ohio State on the offensive side, and the pressure will be on their defense to try to hem in Damon Williams and that really potent Washington offensive attack. And again, Washington is without a doubt, most underrated team in the country.
Honestly, I think USC is somewhat underrated, too. You're going to have them
I agree.
This week against Illinois. I mean, they're at the fringes of the top 25. They're in it, but just barely. And this is a team that's humming. I mean, by some measures, the best offense in the country to this point. They get an Illinois team that, as you already documented, is pretty banged up on defense. Let's talk about the Trojans first. As you dissect this team and watch the film getting ready for the game, what stands out to you offensively about what they're doing and how they're tearing things up?
They're so much better up front, and they're so much more balanced than they've been in recent years. And that was really the blueprint for Lincoln Riley when he was at Oklahoma. During his tenure at Oklahoma, they were actually the #1 team in the country as far as yards per rush, not pass rush. You know, and that's what I don't think people understood is the brilliance of what he did at OU wasn't just the quarterbacks and their numbers in the passing game, but it was the balance that they used on offense. And now he's got that this year at USC. I think Maava is playing as well as anybody in the country. And you're right, they're underrated. Let's just put it to you this way. Right now, Ole Miss is ranked 13th, and USC is ranked 21st in the country. There's no way in the world that I think Ole Miss is better than USC at this point. Ole Miss barely beat Kentucky and Arkansas. Arkansas just lost to Memphis. And yet we don't pay attention to that. So again, the perception of the sport tends to be very Southern, and teams like USC and Washington right now are being overlooked on the West Coast, and they shouldn't.
Well, it's also based on preseason expectations, and I think there's an argument to be made that we shouldn't have preseason polls, even though they're fun and give us things to talk about, but it does color where teams are able to move throughout the course of the year. I want to ask you about the flip side of that game in Illinois, and we kind of touched on them off the top, and we'll finish with them here. We already talked about the defensive struggles, and you've outlined there what a challenge it is because USC would give anyone challenges offensively, and now you got a banged up team. But you were talking about USC rushing the passer, right? They're tied for first in the nation in sacks. Illinois has given up the most sacks of any power conference team in the country. We saw it against Indiana. We saw it in the first half against Duke, too, where they couldn't protect it all. They're banged up at running back. They've had trouble lining up and just running the ball. It just feels like it's a bad matchup there as well. What can Illinois do to try to have a chance at winning this game? Like, what's the strategy coming in here?
Here's what I find so fascinating in college football. For my whole career, and I'm sure yours as well, we valued experience so much. And Illinois, 16 starters back, including 5 up front on the offensive line, and that offensive line is all of a sudden one of the worst in college football. I don't get it. When I watch the film, it doesn't make any sense. Now, you can credit Indiana. They were getting after them, and I think that defense is very good, but something is going wrong with the Illinois offensive line, and if it doesn't get fixed, it'll be more of the same this Saturday.
Well, that's the challenge, right? You bring everyone back, but it wasn't a great offensive line, truth be told, last year. And I guess you hope that you make that progression. I know they added a little bit of depth in the portal, but to this point, it hasn't been great this year either. But, hey, it's just one game against Indiana. We'll see if they can get back on track with you and Gus and Jenny in town. Looking forward to the call, and as always, appreciate your time. Thanks, Joel.
You bet. I love coming on. Good to see you.